Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome to another whiskey review with me, the Whiskey Novice. Thank you for joining me for another review, this time number 219, and we are returning to Ireland. We're returning to Ireland, so if we're returning to Ireland, we're looking at some Irish whiskey. Yes, we are. This time down to Cork to the Middleton distillery, and we're looking at another Spot, and it's the Green Spot. But it's not just the standard Green Spot. I did the Green Spot many moons ago, I think. I'm sure I'm bound to have reviewed Green Spot at some point. Green Spot in itself, the standard Green Spot that you will see, has been around for quite a few years. It was Mitchell's and Sons were bonders in Dublin. They were groceries. I'm sure I've told this story before, a bit like the Redbreast people, Gilby's and the Redbreast people. Mitchell's and Sons, bonders, bottlers. They were grocers, but they were doing some bonding and bottling as well. And the Green Spot was around it's been around for a long time. It was a 10-year-old traditionally. It had an age statement. Hasn't had an age statement for quite a few years now. Probably back into the 90s anyway was the last time we would have seen it with a 10-year-old age statement on it. Since that, it hasn't had an age statement. And the standard Green Spot for me, I find, is a bit of a sort of entry-level pot still whiskey, but no more than that now. I really don't see it as much more than that as an entry-level pot still whiskey. However, there have been a few wine-finished Green Spots. A couple of them, and there's really only a couple, are core. This one and another one, which I'll get to later. This one, Green Spot Chateau Montelena. So Chateau Montelena, a winery in the Napa Valley out there in the United States. And so this one's a White Zinfandel finish, so you're really looking at a rosé wine. Bottled at 46%. Is it chill filtered? Don't know. Is the colour added? Yet again, you don't know. I've found with a lot of Irish producers that they don't like to, especially Middleton, really don't like to go into that, chill filtration or colour added. It's easier just to avoid that, and then if you just don't put it on any of your bottles, you never get into that quandary, I suppose. It's just one of those things. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Anyway, Green Spot Chateau Montelena, as I say, chill filter, don't know. I stretched this out just so I could get to this review. Could buy another bottle. We'll see whether I'm going to or not. Let's just get into this, shall we? Now, I will tell you that I loved this. And you will notice I used a past term of loved. So let's get into it. It's a sort of typically sweet, even though this is a single pot still, grainy sort of nose, typical sort of, as I say, of Middleton pot still. I'm going to suggest some lemon drizzle cake. A florist's. So there's a floral note, but it's like walking into a flower shop, a florist's. Stewed apples. And even there's a herbal note of it. So I put it down to a hint of dried rosemary. And there's a slight bitterness along with that herbal thing, which I was putting down to, and it reminds me of breakfast tea, just the black breakfast tea. There's a slight weird metallic bitterness on the nose, and that's what it reminds me of. So there are a few things going on. There's no denying it that there are a few things going on. I'm convinced that it's that wine finish that is balancing out this weirdly, for what would be considered a relatively sweet rosé wine, is actually balancing out the sweet pot still. Yeah. So let's get in. Bittersweet delivery. Once again, very typical Very typical Middleton pot still. Lemon curd. It's not oily coating, but it's coating nonetheless. I do find this quite typical of Middleton pot still. You know, there's an awful lot of this through the nose, through the palate. It's definitely about those lemon notes. And it's, as I said, it's a lemon curd. It's a thick lemon. It's not a bright, shiny, fresh, the sharp lemon notes. It's like a lemon curd, which I like. I do like. It's nice. It's making it richer than sharper. Do you know, it's very nice. There's no two ways about it. And for all those typical Middleton pot still notes, it's not rich, sweet, claggy like a lot of, I find, Middleton pot still notes. Don't get me wrong, when they work incredibly well. But sometimes I do find them a bit thick and a bit claggy. This isn't. This is all about the brighter notes. This is quite polished, quite shiny. Not as much going on as I remember. It's definitely a clean palate. I'm trying to, you know, even the tasting notes. Sweet mouth, coating, la 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 la. Suppose it's not saying anything different than I'm saying, but it's bright. It is quite sparkly and shiny and effervescent. Finish is fairly short. I'm not adding a lot. I'm not going to add a lot of water to that. A fairly short finish. It's not hot. No, definitely not. It's just about those brighter notes and slightly ever so slightly peppery, but just ever so slightly. It's all right. It's all right. We will, as this review plays out, discover what I feel about this now. Little drop of water, and it was a little drop, and it goes a little flat once again. Slight hint of wallpaper paste. It's sort of hard to tell what's going on in this. It's just a bit. Palate still remains nice, sweet, enjoyable. There's no two ways about it. It's an enjoyable whiskey. It is. But it just does fall a little flat for me now, and there's a very good reason why it falls a little flat, I think. So I'm gonna wrap this up actually pretty quickly. This seems a bit sharp, but there's a reason why I'm doing that. It's sort of 65 to 80 pounds mark. I'm seeing this. It's an on-age stated whiskey, 46%. Yes. I don't know. On the right day, at 65 pounds, probably not a bad price. I don't think I'll replace it. And I'm just going to leave the actual review there, and we'll come back for my comparison. There. Now, I've been dancing around this a bit. There's a reason why I've sort of moved on very quickly there. This is just all right. And when I say it's just all right, it's because this, to me now, is much better. For long enough, I raved about the Chateau Montelena. How good it was. To me, it was the better wine finish of these two. But then I got really involved with the Leoville Barton. This is the Leoville Barton. This is the Bordeaux cask finish. Probably much the same treatment, but finished in a Bordeaux cask rather than White Zinfandel. And the Bordeaux cask really works. And it you know, I was sort of skirting around it there because I didn't want to give too much away. But what happened was I started to fall in love with the Leoville Barton and realised that actually the Chateau Montelena wasn't as good as I thought it was. And I think it was more so just, it wasn't a case of this as the Chateau Montelena is a bad whiskey. In the scheme of things, it's not a bad whiskey. It's just that if you're going to choose between the two, between the Chateau Montelena and the Leoville Barton is the better of the two of them by quite some margin. I've given this bottle everything. As you can see, this will actually be killed, I'm going to suggest, on this very day. But I will replace the Leoville Barton. The Montelena, I don't think I will. And once it's gone, it's gone. But the Leoville Barton I will replace. So there you go. That's quite simply, and I do, remembering that I sell Irish whiskey in an Irish whiskey shop, and I do suggest that of the Spot series from Middleton, from Mitchells and Sons, that the two wine finished green spots are two of the best of the Spot series. And then with that in mind now, I'm suggesting that of those two, the Leoville Barton is the best of the two wine finished green spots. Still a good whiskey. I'll not replace it. 65 to 80 pounds. Don't know. I don't know. That's a bit indecisive, that one, but that's what you get sometimes. Listen, thank you very much for joining me as usual. Thank you very much to my patrons. Should anybody wish to join that group, the details are in the video description below. I'll be back the next time. Until then, look after yourselves. Here's to your good health. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.